Good afternoon. Thank you for accepting the invitation and attending this event. As we have done in the past, we would like to give a brief summary of the key highlights of the monetary policy report for the media to get better understanding on the report, so that we can ensure that that message is passed to the wider audience. Let me start with the legal requirement. This monetary policy report has been published as per the Central Bank Act, Section 27 and Section 80, that requires Central Bank to communicate to the public and other stakeholders the rationale for monetary policy decisions taken during the relevant period of review, while providing guidance on inflation and economic outlook, along with the assessment of risk to the outlook. The purpose of this monetary policy report is to enhance the transparency and communicate monetary policy rationale to the general audience. So in the past, what we usually do just after monetary policy cycle is to have a 2 to 3 pages press release and followed by a monetary policy press conference. But the rationale behind this decision making is not known to the public and the market and the media. So the purpose of this monetary policy report is to be more transparent with more communication on the central bank's thinking behind the decision, and to give more insight on the outlook, risk, and the rationale and the global aspects, everything. And by doing this, we are increasing the accountability of the central bank to the public and other stakeholders, and also that will be helpful for us to build credibility on the monetary policy decision making. And by giving more inputs and insights on our thinking behind our key monetary policy decisions, we are also giving guidance to the financial markets and other stakeholders. And other important aspects that we try to achieve through this monetary policy report is anchoring inflation expectation. As you all know, we are currently under flexible inflation targeting framework, and the success of inflation targeting framework works the degree at which we manage to maintain expectations, anchor expectations at the level that the central bank expects towards the targeted level. Thus, giving more information and about the projections, we are trying to anchor expectations toward the targeted level of 5%. And also by releasing these projections and also the insights and the updates, we are also trying to enhance the policy coordination within the country. That could be the coordination with the fiscal policymakers as well as the private sector participants. So the coverage of this report is, it has some key components, starting with for a person who doesn't have any understanding on the monetary policy framework of the country. So we are giving a brief overview of monetary policy framework and the executive summary covering the outlook as well as the recent economic developments, and the monetary policy summary that covers the latest monetary policy cycle's decisions compared to the last monetary policy report. And the key part of this report is the coverage on inflation and economic outlook. So that includes the baseline projection, key assumptions and the judgments underpinning the forecast, risk to inflation and growth projections, and comparison of previous forecast. That is, the last part is the most important component for improving accountability and credibility, because we are not just reporting our projection, we are also evaluating the projections after a while in the next report. And we are comparing what we have projected in the last monetary policy report and the current projections, and we are giving reasons behind why these projections have changed. So rather than just reporting, we are also giving some explanations on why the forecasts have deviated and why the current projection is different from last monetary policy report's projections. And also the current economic development, which also includes domestic as well as global developments. Let me start with the monetary policy summary. As you already know, so after the last monetary policy report, which was released in August 2024, we had 3 monetary policy cycles. So in September, the central bank maintained the policy level at the current SDFR at 8.25 and SLFR at 9.25. In November, we moved from a dual policy interest rate mechanism to single policy interest rate mechanism with the introduction of overnight policy rate, and which was set at 8% to give an effective reduction of around 50 basis points reduction in the policy rate. And in January, the current stance was maintained. And after the introduction, we see the operational target of monetary policy framework, which is the average weighted cold money rate, is hovering around the new policy interest rate of OPR. And inflation outlook, the headline inflation declined in second half of 2024 and remaining in negative territory since September 2024. The deflationary trend was mainly driven by the substantial downward adjustment in electricity tariffs. Also, there are some other factors contributed to this deflation, which are like downward revisions to domestic fuel and LP gas prices, reduction to water tariff, and moderating food prices also have contributed to this deflationary trend. And on the outlook, headline inflation is expected to decline further in the current quarter, which is quarter 1 of 2025, and gradually stabilizing around the targeted level of 5%. These deflationary conditions are expected to continue in the near term, partly because of statistical base effect of VAT impact that happened last year around the same time. And inflation may edge above the targeted level between late 2025 and mid-2026. However, the projections suggest that these will be short-lived. So we expect inflation to converge to the targeted level of 5% over the medium term, with the support of appropriate policy measures. The core inflation, so monetary policy report is the first place we are publishing the core inflation projection. So that shows less degree of volatility compared to the headline inflation. Core inflation is expected to experience a temporary dip in the near term. That is also partly because of VAT-related statistical base effect. And after that, it is expected to normalize in line with the headline target. And also, core inflation is expected to exhibit less volatility than the headline inflation. And there are several risks to inflation outlook. So the current baseline projection has been based on the current information and current near-term projections and the staff judgment. But there can be differences when it comes to realization of inflation that could be due to the impact of several risks on the upside as well as downside. On the upside risks, we mainly consider 4 key risks. One is the possible adverse weather conditions that can have impact on agricultural production, that can have changes to the near-term projections, and any deviation from envisaged fiscal consolidation path can change the headline inflation path, and also any possible depreciation at a higher level can deviate the inflation from the currently projected level. And also possible upward revisions to global food and energy prices due to global geopolitical uncertainties. On the downside also, we identify 3 major risks. On the first risk is possible second round effects of recently announced energy price reduction and possible price reductions of essentials further, and substantial sustained impact of diminished purchasing power of the people. And on the economic outlook side, again, the monetary policy report is the only place we are we are showing the projection fan chart for growth. The economic growth is expected to continue its rebound over the medium term, although at a moderate pace. So based on the currently available information, which doesn't include any pro-growth structural reforms, the economy is projected to operate below its full capacity over the medium term. Like in the inflation, we also have identified key risks to the growth outlook, both on downside and upside. On the downside, the brain drain may lead to labor shortages and lower productivity, affecting the growth momentum. and weather-related anomalies and climate change can have impact on economic activity negatively, and possible impact of geopolitical uncertainties amidst the policy changes in US and the reflection from other countries can have impact on Sri Lanka's external sector performance. On the upside, we see the impact of successful completion of debt restructuring can have favorable impact on by boosting the market and investor sentiments, and introduction of new growth-oriented policies can be growth supportive, and possible spillover effects of revival of tourism also can lead to growth increasing more than the level we projected. So in addition to these main content, we also have 2 box articles. Even though we have been publishing fan charts in several places, in monetary policy press releases and monthly inflation press releases, we see that there is still the understanding of the general public and stakeholders on the inflation fan chart is continue to be limited, so that we have published a small box article on how to read the inflation fan chart. And also we have included a fan chart on recent price trends driving Sri Lanka's deflation and public perceptions. So even though the deflation has been there from September 2024, there are still perception from the people that is not reflected in their cost of living. And we have highlighted that the reason why the people may not feel their cost of living relief is not happening, possibly because of already elevated price levels from 2022 high price inflation. And many income levels have likely not fully adjusted to the increase in price increases in 2022. And also psychological and behavioral aspects affecting the perceived inflation versus realized inflation, and also lack of awareness of concept of inflation. So we are trying to give clarity on this deflation, and also we are giving an we are explaining that this deflation is going to be a short-lived trend. Thank you.